What's happening, Lion Pride? Christopher James here with Be a Lion Outdoors. Exploring nature with your dog is one of the most rewarding things that you could do in the great outdoors. However, today we are probably going to annoy and confuse your animal as we are going to tear up one of their favorite toys. This little bit of rawhide that you could find at any pet store. Today I'm going to show you a survival hack that takes that rawhide and a little bit of time and turns it into some primitive ropes and lashing that you could use with just a little bit of know-how, a little bit of water, and a whole lot of time. This is Rawhide Rope, so let's cut to the intro and I will show you guys how to do it. So you're going to need some rawhide. This is just a 2-pack I found at Walmart, but any rawhide from a pet store will do. You will also need a container large enough to put water in and soak the length of rawhide that you need. So we're just going to go ahead, open up this rawhide. And place it in the water to soak. Now I'm using warm water to soak this just to help permeate into the rawhide a lot quicker. I highly recommend using warm water. Make sure your rawhide is completely submerged to ensure that the entire section gets rehydrated fully. Now you're going to want to keep your rawhide in there to soak, changing the water out every single day, but be sure to check on it. I left mine to soak for about a week. So let's take a look at it now and see how it looks. So now, as you can see, this rawhide is now able to be rolled out and is fully malleable and pliable. So I am just going to pat off any excess water. Next, I'm going to throw down some cardboard and roll the rawhide the opposite direction. This will just help flatten it out and wring out any extra water. So next you just want a sharp blade. I'm going to use this Havilon Piranta and cut off a section that I think I'm going to need. I use the Havilon because it is a surgical blade and I could easily replace the blades quite easily. However, any sharp knife will do. Now you can pin with thumbtacks just your rawhide down. I'm just not going to do that this time and just going to use my hands, but by pinning it down with some tacks, it will ensure that your rawhide does remain taut and doesn't move around too much. But I'm going to take my knife and start scoring this rawhide. By scoring it, this is going to help making cutting through it a lot easier once we move to that step. Continue to score the entire length of the line that you think you're going to need on the rawhide. Now's the fun part. Now is when you want to start cutting it. So ensure that you are maintaining knife safety, because rawhide can still be very difficult to cut even though it is fully hydrated, and start cutting off some lengths that you're going to need. We are going to do one continuous lace of this rawhide. However, you could just cut sections off by cutting end to end. This is the main reason why I put the cardboard down, so that I don't worry about scratching anything underneath me, and I know that I could apply extra pressure as the cardboard will help absorb a lot of that. So I'm going to take it and cut a length of this rawhide all the way down. Now I'm not going to take it all the way to the one end, however, and you will see why very soon. So cut off that one edge, and that is going to be the start of my lace. As you can see, I didn't go all the way, but now I'm going to go all the way back, going the other side, and just continue to zigzag this rawhide back and forth. This is going to create a one continuous length of this rawhide, which will allow you to get more length out of your line. So just continue going back and forth, creating this long lace of the rawhide. Cut off any extra that you might need, and go as long as you want it to be. So I've cut off about as much as I think I'm going to need for what I'm going to wrap. As you can see, it's one continuous length. So I'm just going to use this obsidian and a little bit of this stick that I found, and I'm just going to wrap this in. Now this is a little bit too thick of rawhide for a wrap for an arrow. However, I'm just going to wrap it and make it somewhat of a knife so that you guys get an idea out of it. Might have cut off too much, so quite simply, just cut off the edge. And while yes, it may look thick now, you have to remember that it is still very hydrated, and once it dries out, it will condense back in on itself. Secure the rawhide. Make sure everything's all tight and snug and secure. You can cut off any excess if you want. If not, no big deal. You could always keep it on there as well. I'm just going to cut it off, make it look a little clean. And set aside to dry. So this is what it looks like now after drying for 24 hours. While it is still quite thick, again, this is just for display purposes, but you will find that the obsidian head is quite secure on there, and it does create a nice little handle and a grip for you. You could dry out the remaining rawhide as well, and you could continue to re-soak it and use it again in the future.